Van Gogh Remix. In this painting, we're learning a little bit about Vincent van Gogh and his style of painting. At the same time, we're going to add a little bit of our own style choices. But this video is all about trying to show you how to tackle the painting process, helping you understand what step 1 is, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on. So the first step, as you can see from what I'm doing right now in the painting, is I'm just generally painting the shapes, a very basic color. I'm not trying to be overly pretty or careful with painting in those shapes. It's just simply the first layer. That first layer doesn't have to take a long time. Try to have some speed with it, just go fast and fill up those shapes. You don't have to be super careful. The next step after filling up the shapes is to start layering on top of those areas some of the lines with some of the colors that you want to choose. And so I just started with purple here. And basically, I'm just trying to figure out the direction of lines and fill up some of the dark spots and some of the light spots. I'm copying what Van Gogh did with his painting. He used lots of short, choppy, bold lines. And that's what we want to do if we're going to copy his style. As I focus on this step, I might want to be paying attention to where the dark spots are supposed to be and where the light spots are supposed to be. So I might switch back and forth between, adding a little bit of white, adding a little bit of dark purple. All the while, I'm comparing my painting with a photocopy of the Starry Night to see if I'm getting the balance of darks and lights correct, as well as the direction of lines. Another thing to keep in mind when you're creating all of these lines is in order for them to show up and be visible, you kind of need to have a variation in colored lines. So don't just have one color of lines like just purple, but have different colors or at least different shades of a color kind of intermingling and mixing so that there's a little bit of a lighter, a little bit of a darker, a little bit of a different color, all in the same area. And that way those lines will stand out together. Up until about right now in the video, I didn't really have a big variety in colors for my lines. I had some shades, so darks and lights, but now I'm just now starting to kind of get into some different colors being added as well. So those different colored lines will stand out together. Okay, so I know I'm talking a lot about lines, but I'm going to keep going with the lines thing here. Some lines serve a little bit of a different function in the painting than other lines. There's lines everywhere, but some lines are working a little bit harder to define the edges of shapes. Sort of like outlines, but not really. So like I might throw a few lines of dark purple against the edge of that swirly shape in the sky, just to help that shape stand out just a little bit better. Okay, now in the painting you can see that I'm adding a little bit more red to the stars. But at the same time I'm using the purple and the blue and the white and the red simultaneously, so they sort of start to blend together a little bit and they don't have this hard-edged look, but it's almost like the red is kind of fading into the background sky a little bit. Even though the lines are not supposed to do a ton of mixing together, they still do a little bit. And when you kind of go back and forth between the different colors that make up the stars and the background, then they kind of give that faded look a little bit. And I want to have some of those reds pop up in other parts of the sky too, so that it kind of unifies them all together. Now you can see that I'm starting to add some yellow and orange by mixing my colors first in the palette. And I'm just trying to, boost the intensity of those colors and kind of have this Again, this blended look where it's kind of shifting from yellow to orange to red to the background colors of the sky. I'm looking for a few things. Once again, I repeat myself here, but I'm looking for some intensity of colors. So those highly saturated colors that are really bright, but I'm also looking for contrast with my colors and contrast with my darks and lights. So having different colors in the painting shows contrast. So different meaning like the yellow versus the purple, but also different as in darks and lights. So having dark purple against light blue, that sort of thing. Now, when we're making paintings, we're constantly making decisions. We're constantly readjusting what we think needs to happen. So for instance, in the sky, I decided it was a little bit too dark for my liking, and so I decided to add a lot of light blue lines throughout the sky to lighten it up, but also to really help those lines show up and be visible because once again, this is a Van Gogh style painting. Okay, now I'm adding one of my own personal touches to the painting, which is this ringed planet, one of the most detailed parts of my painting, which is difficult because being that I am working in a Van Gogh style, I have to try to define those details that I really want to keep, the most important details of the planet, in just a few basic bold lines. Okay, now in my original idea, I had some of those stars being meteors, and so now I'm trying to paint those. But I quickly figure out that I really didn't like it, and I wipe those away very quickly. I think it's important for you guys to see that I do that because I want you to have the permission to feel like if something isn't working, change directions, change plans, and do something else. I decided that those meteors were not going to look like I wanted them to with Van Gogh's style applied to them, and I liked the look of the stars way better, so I just switched gears. Okay, I'm about to tackle the moon here in a second, and I decided to go with my own style of how the moon's going to look instead of Van Gogh's style. And again, the challenge here was trying to achieve a certain level of detail that I was happy with, but still maintaining Van Gogh's style a little bit. So that means I had to use some very basic, bold lines to define my subject. Now, at any point, I could probably be done with the sky now. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to take an extra look and make extra sure that it is done. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to make small adjustments here and there. Like, do I want to brighten up this little spot in the swirl? Do I want to darken this little spot in the sky? Do I want to incorporate a slightly brighter color here or there? Do I need more lines somewhere? So I just want to encourage you to not be satisfied so quickly. Try to push yourself to see what you can do with the painting. And see there, I could have decided to be done with that part of the sky that I'm working on right now, but instead I decided that I wanted to take it a step further, wanted to incorporate some brighter, more vibrant colors into that section that also provided a little bit more contrast with the rest of the sky. Okay, now I'm nearing the end of my time with the sky in this section of the video, and so I'm just making small adjustments here and there. I hope that what you've seen and heard in the video is helpful for you in your process painting, and I just want to wish you good luck and try to have fun.